Hello everyone, my name is Ian Rowe and I'm the Director of Operations and Business Development for Iboost Immunity and Boost Immunity. I'm glad to be here today to tell you a little bit about our digital education platforms as part of the infodemic managers training with the WHO. I'm going to take a few minutes to go through these platforms, and I'm going to concentrate on three main things that I'll be sprinkling throughout. One is our general approach to the design of the platforms, some stuff on the impact we've had, and probably most important for maybe hopefully useful for a few of you at least, some of the lessons that we've learned along the way, and there's been a lot. So I'll be talking about those lessons throughout the presentation. So I'm going to get right into it. As the title suggests, we do try to inspire learning through global citizenship, and we do that in a number of ways. What are these platforms? Well, quite simply, they're Canadian-based free online education platforms designed to raise literacy about vaccination as a whole. And we do combine global giving and local learning together. So the twist with the platform is that the more lessons that you do or quizzes that you take, the more vaccines you can earn for other children around the world. So we are partnered with UNICEF Canada in this project. The sort of recipe for Iboost and Boost, in this case Boost, really combines several factors: altruism, a little bit of gamification, some competition, friendly competition, and a lot of content. We have a lot of content on both of our websites around this. The most important takeaway from that is that, like in life, if you want to have real engagement, if you can make something meaningful and fun at the same time, then you've got a good recipe for success. One thing around the general approach to the design that I think is probably worth pointing out really centers around how domestic and international campaigns are organized. If you're in Canada or in England or France or wherever, domestic vaccination programs are designed as really around, educating or vaccinating your own citizens about the importance of immunization, and really don't typically have that much to do with global health, and vice versa. Global health campaigns organized by the big NGOs really aren't that concerned about what's happening in countries domestically, certainly in the developed world. With Boost and Iboost, we really try to straddle both of these worlds a little bit by really connecting local education and global disease prevention together. And what we found is that the result can really be a force multiplier effect where one sphere influences the other. Engagement is really driven, for example, with kids in Canada around wanting to help other kids elsewhere. So it's been a really important lesson learned for us, is that if you can combine these two areas, then you've got a good recipe for action. A little bit about our team. We are I don't know if we're certainly not unique in the world. Very few things are unique these days, but we are a government, NGO, and private partnership, and we think that we can all work pulling together in the same direction. Boost and Iboost are primarily funded through the Public Health Agency of Canada and the British Columbia Ministry of Health, where we are, but we do have additional funders, some of which we've listed here, that help us with some of the programmatic costs or the rewards that we give out, such as vaccines through UNICEF. As I kind of mentioned earlier, we're really focused on raising literacy in the digital space. The differentiation between Iboost and Boost is Iboost was the predecessor to Boost, first of all, and it's adult focused, so adult education, and Boost is really student focused from grades 4 to 12, we say, but generally ages 9 to 17, school curriculum based. Who are we targeting? We're really trying to get peer-to-peer folks interested in talking about vaccination in a positive, constructive way, and to have that dialogue, whether it be in the classroom or with your friends or at the moms group, wherever that might be, and to try to really wake up the silent majority of folks that are out there. Why are we doing this? Well, as we all know, immunization is supposed to be a shared community value, but sometimes it isn't portrayed that way because, again, the silent majority aren't vocal enough. Why this approach? Because misinformation, as we all know very well, spreads at, I call it the book club level, but it can be at the moms group, or it can just be in these small peer-to-peer settings, and we're trying to raise literacy in these peer-to-peer settings, wherever they may be. And lastly, as we all know very well, the internet is a blessing and a curse, and we wanted to have an approach to our design that was in a digital space, because that's where people are, that's where good information is out there, and we wanted to try to leverage that good information and marry it with an engagement strategy that really, was a recipe to get folks interested in immunization in any way we can. And of course, let's not forget that the anti-vaxxers are not shy, and they should not control the conversation. So we wanted to work in this space to help take back a little bit of control. I guess overall, sort of our design is really focused on this idea of a rising tide raises all boats. So you've heard that expression before. And if we can do that in the space of vaccination and science literacy, it can work in any sphere, whether it be the neighborhood, the province you live in, or state, the country, or even the world. So we're all moving in that same direction. Before I get into the websites, I'm going to spend most of the rest of my time actually showing you Iboost Immunity and Kids Boost Immunity. Thought this would be important to take a look at, and it's really the top reasons why folks are interested in our platforms. And doesn't have to do. You can see here number 4 is I like learning about vaccination. That's actually down the list. Really, and I think we have pretty good content. Believe it or not, we're not insulted by that. But what really drives folks to want to participate in our platforms is altruism, number 1. When we survey adults or we survey kids wanting to help others in the world, and especially these days now with the pandemic making the world a much smaller place, the ability to help others and refocus your efforts to help others can kind of help you get through a little bit in some small way the current crisis that we're in. And giving always helps. So 2 and 3 are kind of close to each other in some senses, but lots of folks like doing online quizzes. The site is based on quizzes, and you earn vaccines through doing quizzes. And people like that. They do it on all kinds of things, on which Game of Thrones character are you? So this is a quiz for good in that sense. They also like competing against one another. The idea of friendly competition, whether it be in the classroom or amongst your mates, is a strong motivator in some cases, and people have created teams on Iboost Immunity, for example, and like to compete against one another. And as I said, lastly, learning about vaccination is down the list, but that's okay because they do it regardless. And as I mentioned earlier, making it meaningful and fun is a key learning for us in that respect. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to start with Iboost Immunity right now. Just give me a second here. This, if you go to iboostimmunity.com, this should be one of the first things that you see. And anyone can start earning vaccines within a minute. So you can earn your first vaccine for another child by doing a quiz of 5 questions. At the end of that, we do ask that you register to donate that vaccine. And when you do, then you can have access to all of the questions and all of the quizzes on iboostimmunity.com. We do have folks from about 25 countries around the world, mostly in Canada and the US. We've earned, as you can see, folks have earned 762,746 vaccines right now. And that's where our counter's at. You can buy a t-shirt if you like to do that and donate some more vaccines through the funds. But this is the public site. Once you actually register to Kids Boost Immunity, you do see to iBoost Immunity, you do see something a little bit different, and it's sort of I'm going to log in here. I'm not a robot. And then you get, as I said, full access to everything. So this is my account. Most folks will go straight to quizzes, and they can just start doing quizzes. We have different levels, different things that you can do. At the end, if you get 80% on the quiz, you will earn a vaccine for another child. The good news is if you don't get 80% the first time, you can do it a second, a third, a fourth, or a fifth time, however many you want to do it. And as we all know, repetition is good for learning. So the incentive of wanting to actually earn that vaccine actually works a lot of the time to get folks to continue to do quizzes. And so, here's an example of one. This one has 10 questions. They're true or false or multiple choice kinds of things. The other thing that folks do on Iboost Immunity is articles. We have articles on all kinds of stuff, vaccine related. Relevant to COVID right now, we have a couple of things, how parents can fight misinformation from home and earn vaccines for UNICEF. So this was designed for those parents that are at home right now, wanting to supplement learning for their children because there's a lot of remote learning happening. And so we have a series of lessons here that parents can do with their children. There's actually seven different lessons they can do, each of which has a quiz, and that can be fun. We also have a misinformation toolkit here, fighting the infodemic, and we have videos and things like that, and you can start to do a quiz here on that. The last thing with Iboost Immunity are stories. So we have first-person narratives from folks all over the world on all kinds of things vaccine related, whether it be losing a loved one to meningitis, measles, as you can see, just the general importance of vaccination. Whatever it is that compels someone to write a story or send in a video, they can do that. And the twist with this is that if they do share a story, you earn 5 vaccines, if that's what you decide to do. And for the rest of us that see these stories, then you can, if you do share the story through your email, through Twitter or Facebook, you also earn a vaccine. So it's not just by doing quizzes, but it's through sharing as well. And so the platform is a way to amplify these stories and to do some good in the world at the same time by earning vaccines for children. So you can see there are leaderboards here, and I'm going to go more into this on Kids Boost Immunity. I can see what my rank is. I can see where everybody else is, how many vaccines they've earned, etc. I can see the top vaccine earners, the top teams in the world. I think there's a German team here. We had a Russian team as well. There's a couple of German teams, I believe, an American team, etc. And that's, again, a way for those folks that love doing quizzes or wanting to level up or wanting to be number one. And that's a lot of fun for them. So Kids Boost Immunity was developed a couple of years later. Iboost started in 2016, and we've had about 1 million questions answered on that platform. Kids Boost Immunity came around in 2018 when we decided to, someone in the meeting said, why don't we try this in schools? And so we did. And the pilot was very successful. And then from there, we've been building content ever since and adding schools across Canada. We're in Scotland and Ireland as well through the Public Health Scotland and HSE in Ireland. But we also have some schools from around the world as well that we accept on a kind of a case-by-case basis. But there's a way for schools who are not in Canada to formally apply to the program and benefit. It's all free. Kids can earn vaccines in the same way that they do on Iboost Immunity. The key difference is they do it through a lesson format. So that we have several lessons that are really designed around curriculum for ages 9 to 17. And in areas in science, in Canada we call it social studies, learning about the world, global inequality, things like that. And in health, so general health classes. We do have lessons, some lessons that are elements of math. We have lessons that are what we call here inquiry-based and cross-curricular. Inquiry-based meaning there's not one way to do the lesson. There are several ways that they can do it. We kind of call it a choose-your-own-adventure kinds of lessons that the kids can do. Cross-curricular, as the term implies, means that especially for teachers in younger grades, they can do maybe 3 or 4 subjects within a topic. They can cover off some science, a little bit of social studies, things like that. So you can see here an inquiry activity, become an outbreak investigator, and there's math, science, social studies, health, primarily. This lesson is designed for kids to actually go through the platform, and there's an outbreak in the school of measles, and they had to find out a bunch of information about measles and how many kids are infected, do some math to get the coverage rate in their school and their town, And there are several ways that they can do it. There's not just one way to do it. So that's an idea of inquiry-based lessons. Around COVID, we've pivoted considerably since this thing began, and we've added a lot of support material for teachers to help them through the pandemic and to register their children in their classes, as well as added new material on COVID specifically, on misinformation and dealing with the pandemic. We have a lot of lessons on critical thinking and the power of a story and how we're swayed by stories, on the scientific method and things like bias and correlation versus causation. That really we hope will help inoculate children around the idea of misinformation and disinformation out there, and provide them with some basic tools to help them navigate this world. We do have information specific to COVID on this, as well as information on the vaccine itself. And I'm just going to get to that lesson. Immune system, how vaccines work in the COVID-19 vaccine. So we have some basics on how the immune system works, how vaccines work, and then how effective they are, and which vaccines are in development currently. And we know this is a fast-moving area, but this is designed to help educate kids as we are building up to the distribution, we hope, of some of the first vaccines that are going to be coming off the line, to help educate the Canadians and folks from elsewhere around the world about why vaccines are important, and especially in the context of COVID-19. For example, what types of vaccines are out there, and so kids can learn, here is the COVID-19, the different types of vaccines, and what's in development and what needs to actually happen to get these vaccines out there. How we're able to take something that normally takes 10 years and do it within less than a year or so. All those questions are answered in this platform. So we have about 80 lessons on Kids Boost Immunity. As you can see, there's 1.9 million questions been answered since it was launched in 2018. This year we've had 275,000 questions, and just under shy of 20,000 vaccines we're donating. We donate tetanus, polio, and measles vaccines through UNICEF Canada. We buy them directly from UNICEF Canada, and they are distributed where they're needed most around the world. And that's one of the unique aspects of this platform, is that we do combine this local learning and global giving component together. And we do think that those both are very important, because they're all moving in the same direction. And as the pandemic has demonstrated, there are no borders when it comes to this stuff. So we think a platform like ours is sorely needed at this time, and we hope will be well used. So you can also earn more. Just a couple of other features to end off here. We have a section on Kids Boost that allows children to earn more vaccines outside of the lessons themselves, that are, again, really designed to be aligned to curriculums in grades, various grades and subjects. And these things they can do at home. All of the lessons they can do at home, actually, or they can do it at school. They can do the quizzes on their phone. But these quizzes at the end, under Earn More, are just quizzes, and they're designed kind of like Iboost Immunity in the sense where the learning modality is the quiz itself. So you learn by answering the question. If you get it right or you get it wrong, we'll give you an answer and tell you. So here's an example. COVID-19 has been declared a global dance break. No, it's not. But oops, not quite. We'll give you the correct answer anyway. So that's an example of that. Leaderboards are, we have them for, you can see our all-time leaders, current leaders. This is this year right now. You can see the top schools and top teams. So these are classrooms within a school. North Saanich Middle School in North Saanich, British Columbia, Canada is one of our top schools. So this is one class. They've answered nearly 10,000 questions in one class, earning 794 vaccines. you can do the math on that. That's a lot of questions that each student has answered. 20 to 30 students in these classes on average. And to put that in perspective, I crunched some numbers recently, and the average student on Kids Boost Immunity, the platform as a whole, answers about 150 questions on the platform. And they do it on the phone, they'll do it at home, they'll do it in school, they could do it on the laptop, etc. But that's a fair number of questions to go through. Try answering 150 questions on your phone. So this is real sustained engagement. We have lots of pre and post measures to measure change in knowledge and attitudes and beliefs and intention around vaccination. And again, the idea is if we can inoculate kids early around disinformation, then they're more likely to vaccinate as adults. Adults, as we all know, are harder to, those minds are harder to change. And so it's important that we get to kids early. Lastly, this is a teacher center. So this is, as a teacher, when you sign up, this is where you'll go. You'll create a team for your class, and you have a ton of resources, including lesson plans and things like that to get you started. So that's about it. I'm around 20 minutes right now. As I mentioned, we've had considerable impact around some of our evaluation. If you are interested in this platform, you can certainly contact me through the website, and we're also open to accepting schools for the Kids Boost platform from around the world. So if you know a teacher, please let them know, and they can register. For Iboost Immunity, anyone can use Iboost Immunity anywhere in the world. So if you want to help raise literacy, and as I said, raise all boats, please feel free to check out iboostimmunity.com. And that's it. Thank you.